Gimel Zayin.
If someone is going to slaughter his Pesach offering to circumcise his son, or to dine at a betrothal feast at the house of his father-in-law, and he remembers that he has chametz at home, if he is able to return, remove it, and then return to his mitzvah, he must go back and remove it, but if not, he nullifies it in his heart. If he is on a way to save people from a marauding troop, from a river, from bandits, from a fire, or from a collapsed building, he nullifies it in his heart. If he was but to establish a voluntary resting place, he must return at once. Okay. All right, I just have to get this cat out of here. I'm sorry. Just come on, buddy. Similarly, if someone left Yerushalayim and remembered that he had sacrificial meat in his hand, if he passed Zofim, he burns it where he is. But if not, he must return it and burn it before the temple, wood of the fire. And how much tumas of meat must be returned? But Meir says in either case when there is as much as a beitza. Reb Yehuda says in either case when there is as much as a chazayas, but this chametz saying for sacrificial meat as much as a chazayas, but for chametz as much as a beah. Okay. Where is it customary to do work on the eve of Pesach until midday? We may do work, but where it is necessary not to do work, we may not do work. If one goes from where they do work to where they do not, and from where they do not to where they do, we lay upon him the stringencies of the place which he has left, and the stringencies of the place to which he has gone. But let no man deviate from local custom to avoid conflict.
Okay. Mishna Bayis Kiyotze Bo. Similarly, in terms of customs, Hamolech Peros Shvis Mimakom Shikalu Lemakom Shilokalu. So we have a din of biur in Shvius, right? When you no longer have the fruits available in the field, then you have to take out your excess fruits of that type and make them hefker. You can then take them back again, but you're not allowed to. But biur is a requirement of Shvius. So now you're coming from an area where these Shemitah fruits are still available in the field, but you're going to a place where they're no longer. And remember, in Masechah Shvius, we had a whole thing of the different territories of Eretz Yisrael that are judged together in terms of Shvius. Okay. In either case, you have to do biur on your fruits because, as we saw in the previous Mishnah, we have the chumras of the place that you came from and the chumras of the place that you're going to. Okay. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Omrim Lo Tzei v'havei lach afata. So he makes a fairly cryptic statement, which is not entirely clear. He says, "Go and also bring." Right? So the Gemara explains the words of Rabbi Yehuda in different ways. So, and the Mepharshim of the Mishnah notes down the parish of Rav Ashi, which is that Rabbi Yehuda agrees that you give him the chumras of the place that he came from, the chumras of the place that he's going to. It's just that the machlokes between Rabbi Yehuda and Chachamim is that so it says in Masechah Shvius, Hakovesh Shlosha Kavashim. So he puts three different types of pickled things inside one jar. Okay. In what, and Rabbi Eliezer says that you can only eat them until the first one requires biur. Okay. And then Rabbi Yeshua gives the most amazing one that you can eat them until the last one requires biur, because the tam heter from the first one is matir the other ones, which is that's like the most incredible halachic kiddush, and there's a great riddle based on that one. Okay, Rabban Gamliel says kol shekala amino min asadeh, so he says treat them each individually. Okay, so in this matter, the Tanaim in our Mishnah also disagree that the Tana Kama is meikil like Rabbi Yeshua. And since all of the minim are pickled in one jar, so you're mutar to eat them al smach, just whatever the last one is that requires biur, and that's the mashmaos of his words. Hamolech mimakom shelo kalu lemakom shekalu. The Gamre says you have, if you take it from a place where they haven't run out to a place where they have run out completely. In other words, all the different types of species that are in his barrel, chayiv levayer. Okay, but if they have not all finished but only a little bit is left over, he can also eat from the minim that have expired. So the Tanakama is basically holding like Rabbi Yeshua. But Rabbi Yehuda says, Omrim lo, we say to the Barachavis, tzei v'havei lach afata. In other words, go and bring also from the field, from those minim that are pickled inside your barrel. And since you won't find them in the field, you also have to do beer on them in the barrel, which is he's holding like Rabban Gamliel, that you have to treat all the species individually. Okay, so that little cryptic statement of Rabbi Yehuda shows that they're actually talking about dinim in that machlokes that we had in Shvius about things that are mixed together in one barrel. It's an interesting little lomdisha diversion there. Okay, Mishna Gimel.
I just wonder, when he says to remove them, when the place where they have been exhausted is required to remove them, okay, and what does he do with them then at that point?
He removes them and he makes them hefker.
Makes them hefker. That's it. Okay.
That's it. You just have to make them hefker, and then once they're hefker, he's allowed to be zoch in them. I mean, that's also machlokes tanaim, but we paskin that the same person who made them hefker can also retake possession of them
and eat them.
Of course. I mean, that was one of my favorite stories. Was one erev Pesach a couple of shmitas ago. My neighbor had a lot of bottles of shmita wine, and he brought them out to make them hefker. So he pulled out his neighbors to make them hefker, and as he did so, I said thank you, and I picked up a couple of bottles of wine, and then I went over to him and I said, you know, I'd like you to have this bottle of wine for your Seder tonight. So that moment of whoops, that wasn't. But I made sure that he knew that it really was hefker. Anyway, Mishna Gimel. Makom shenagul in kor behema daka legoyim mochrin. So there's a minhag of not selling livestock to non-Jews. Now, with the large animals like horses and oxen and things, there everyone agrees that you're not allowed to sell them to the goyim. Why? Because of the situation where maybe it'll be an erev Shabbos and he wants to test out the animal, see how well it plows, and the Jew is going to say, okay, well, it's not me, and he's just sort of calling the animal, and the animal's doing the plowing. But meanwhile, that's an issur d'oraisa because causing the animal to plow even just by calling it is an issur d'oraisa. Anyway, so but there's also a minhag in some places not even to sell small animals like goats and sheep. Okay, so again, minhag makam shenagul shelo limkor ein mochrin uv'chol makom ein mochrin lahem behem agasa. But in no place may you sell them large animals. And also the young of those large animals, the calves and the foals that are whole, in other words, uninjured, and also the ones who are injured. Okay, and we'll see why would you think otherwise. Rabbi Yehuda matir b'shvura. Rabbi Yehuda says no, it's okay to sell him a wounded animal, because there you're not going to have the issue that we have of the of getting it to plow, because clearly it's wounded. So it's clear that the goy wants it for shchita. He wants just to eat the animal. So great. So you can sell, so that's not a problem to sell it to him. Okay, Rabbi Yehuda says it's okay with a shvura. Ben Besera matir basus, and Ben Besera says it's fine to sell horses to the goyim, because they don't want it, because they wouldn't want it for avodah zarah. They only want it for riding on.
There has to be a riding horse, not one that works in the field.
Workhorse. I suppose they do have such a thing as a workhorse. Yeah. Okay.
Mishna refers to a riding horse which is not does no work when he is not mounted by a person. So I guess that's a
All right.
okay.
Okay, and the halacha follows the Tanakama. Okay, Mishnah Daled. Makom shenahagu leechol tzali b'leil Pesachim ochlin. Makom shenahagu shelo leechol ein ochlim. So, obviously, if you have a korban pesach, it has to be roasted. But there's an issue with eating roasted meat nowadays because it looks like you're eating a korban pesach and you're eating a shchutei chutz. So it's a bit of a minefield of maris ayin over there. So our widespread minhag is not to eat roasted meat, but it's clearly a minhag thing because there was a makam shenagu leechol, in which case you can eat. Makam shenagu lahadlik esaner. By the way, I remember I think there was a Mishna where Rabban Gamliel was also makil on this, that he used to eat roasted meat on Pesach even though there was no Beis Mikdash.
You're saying that's really it's really a minhag not to use roasted meat? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's a minhag not to eat roasted meat on Pesach.
The Torah doesn't say; it just says to eat the
korban, because the korban Pesach has to be roasted. So having roasted meat on Pesach would make it look like this is meat that's taking the place of the korban Pesach. So you might you might think, oh, this person has actually shechted a korban Pesach and he's roasting it and he's trying to eat korban Pesach, but it's outside Yerushalayim or it's Tumah or whatever, all these different things. So just say don't eat roasted meat. Okay.
Where it is customary to eat roast meat on the night of Pesach, that would be that's the derisa though. Why is it saying the word customary? It's not. It's a derisa.
It's not a derisa. It's not at all a derisa. I mean, on derisa you have to eat roasted meat on Pesach. That is the korban Pesach. What we've got over here is a kind of a maris ayin that you shouldn't because it looks like you're eating basa korban Pesach outside Yerushalayim. So okay. So makom shenagu lahadlik esaner b'leila yom kippurim madlikin. So some places where there's a custom to light a candle on the night of Yom Kippur, and you should do it. Makom shenagu shelo lahadlik ein madlikin, right? Because on Shabbos we say that everyone's got the minhag to light candles, and that's also the case on Yom Tov. But on Yom Kippur, it depends on your minhag. Whether or not to light candles. Okay, I think our minhag over here is always that we light candles even on Yom Kippur. Anything else that we want to say? Okay, okay. Makom shenagu shelo ladlik ein madlikin. Madlikin bevate knesios bevate midrashos bevos ha'afelim al gabei cholim. And you should definitely light up in all of the study halls because of the kavod hayom, and even in the dark alleyways and above the beds of the cholim. Any place where you need a light, that's odin shemusa lahadlik b'chol makom. And you should light everywhere in a place where a person where a man and his wife don't sleep there. Why? Okay. Oh, because of Yom Kippur, of course, there's also the Isser of Tashmish Amita that husband and wife aren't allowed to sleep together. כאן יש נוהגים להדליק משום שאין אדם משמש מיטתו או הנר. So some people have the minhag to light the candle as a guard, as a protection that he shouldn't forget himself and have relations with his wife. So the candle, because people would want to have relations when the candle's still burning, but other people say no, rather have the candles off so that a person shouldn't see his wife and have his passions inflamed. Either way, it's a question of minhag, and I believe our minhag over here is to light candles.
I think we're doing hay now, but I think that was 3 before with Dalit. Am I wrong?
I'm sorry?
I think Dalit was 3.
Yeah, that's right.
So you're doing hay now.
No, I'm not. We're now doing Aleph Aleph.
Wait, did you go? Where did you go to? I'm still in Pesachim. You didn't say anything about.
No,
Okay.
that's right. That's right. We just finished the 3 new Mishnayos. So now Chazara Aleph Aleph.
Oh, okay. All right. Don't confuse me. I'm just okay. We're in the very beginning, Shawl.
Yes, the very beginning.
I didn't put the tissue. I did that. All right. Aleph Aleph. The evening of the 14th in this time we must search for the chumash by the light of a candle. Any place into which chumash is not brought, we do not require a search. So why have the Chachamim say 2 rows of a wine cellar must be searched? The Chachamim were referring to a place in which chametz is brought. Beis Shammai says 2 rows over the entire front of the wine cellar must be searched, but Beis Hillel says the 2 outer rows, which are the uppermost. We need not be concerned that a weasel may have dragged chametz from house to house or from place to place, for if so, then we would have to be concerned from courtyard to courtyard, from town to town, and there will be no end to the matter. Rav Yehuda says, we must search on the evening of the 14th, or on the morning of the 14th, or at the time of removal. But the Chachamim say if one did not search on the evening of the 14th, he must search on the day of the 14th. If he did not search on the day of the 14th, he must search during the festival. If he did not search during the festival, he must search after the festival. And that which he leaves over, he should place in hiding, so that it not be necessary to search again. Reb Meir says,
Good. We're done 3. Erevin Aleph Zion.
Okay. Aleph Zion. Did you say Aleph Zion?
Erevin, yes.
I don't understand what's going on here. Oh, because if you pull out Bakoros, then that's what happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
That would happen.
No, they're upside down. All right. I mixed up when I went through it. Okay. Aleph Zion. We may use anything as poles, even a living being, but Rabbi Yossi forbids this, as it transmits tumor contamination as a tomb cover, but Rabbi Meir considers it uncontaminated. While we may write bills of a divorce on it, Rabbi Yossi HaGalili invalidates it. In a caravan which made camp in a valley and surrounded it with animal trappings, they may carry within it, provided that the barricade is 10 tefachim high and the gaps do not exceed a walled portion. Any gap which is 10 amet wide is permitted as an entrance greater than this is prohibited. They may surround the camp with 3 ropes, one above the other, provided there not be 3 fists between one rope and the other. The thickness of the ropes is more than a tefach, in order that the total should be 10 tefachim. They may surround the
I can't. Okay. Master Shani. Hey Gimel.
Kevin Revai, Beit Shammai says it is not liable to the fifth or to beer, but Beis Hillel says it is, and Beit Shammai says it is liable to peret and it is liable to the oliot, but the poor redeem them for themselves. But Beis Hillel says all goes to the winepress. How do they redeem Neta Revai? He places the basket before 3 and says, how much does a person want to redeem for himself for a cellar, with the provision that the expenses be borne by his household? And he puts down the money and says, anything gathered from this is redeemed with this money, so many baskets for a cellar. And in the 7th year, he redeems it for its value. And if all was rendered hefker, he would add only the cost of gathering. If one redeems his own Neta Revai, he must add a fifth, whether it is his or was given to him as a gift.
Okay. Nida. Tes Aleph.
A woman was attending to her needs and saw blood. Reb Meir says if she was standing, she is tamei, but if she was sitting, she is tahor. Rabbi Yossi says either way she is tahor. A man and a woman attended to their needs, urinating into the basin, and blood was found upon the urine. Rabbi Yossi rules her tahor, but Rabbi Shimon rules her tameh, because since it is not normal for a man to discharge blood, rather the presumption of blood is that it comes from the woman. If a woman lent a tunic to a Gentile woman or to a nida, she may attribute a stain to the borrower. If 3 women wore a single tunic and sat on a single bench and blood was found in it, all of them are tameh. And if they sat on a stone bench or on the seat of a bathhouse, Rabbi Nechama says they're tahor. For Rabbi Nechama was wont to say anything that is not susceptible to tuma is not susceptible to bloodstains.
Okay. Bechoros.
Right, this is where I lost my thing because I took the tissue out when we're talking. What do you have?
We're in Bechoros Zayin base.
Okay. A bald-headed man is unfit. Who is regarded as a bald-headed man? Whoever has no ring of hair circling from ear to ear. But if he has, he is fit. He has no eyebrows, or if he has one eyebrow, he is a gibbon, mentioned in the Torah. Reb Dosi says if one whose eyebrows hang down. Reb Kenanya ben Antigno says one who has 2 backs and 2 spines.
They're not arguing about the actual halacha. They all agree that all of these are called mumim for a kohen, but they're just saying what is gibein that's mentioned in the Torah.
The kerim is unfit. What is kerim? One who can paint both his eyes with one movement. How do you do that? Both eyes.
That's kind of like if you don't have a bridge of your nose.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So if you got a flat bridge, that's kind of like the Downs look.
Right. Okay. Both his eyes are set high and both eyes are set low. Or one eye is set high or one eye is set low. Or he focuses on the lower story and then the upper story simultaneously. Or one who cannot bear the sun. Or one who has unmatched limbs or watery eyes is unfit. One whose eyelashes fell out is unfit for reasons of unsightliness. One whose eyes are as large as a calf's or as small as those of a goose, or one whose body is too large for his limbs and too small for his limbs, or whose nose is too large for his limbs or too small for his limbs, or the simnum, or the simnaya is a simnaya, one whose ears are too small. What is the simnum? One whose ears resembles a sponge. Okay.
Okay. Gittin. Daled test.
If one sells himself and his children to a Gentile, he is not to be redeemed, but the children are to be redeemed after the death of their father. One who sells his field to a Gentile must buy and bring first fruits from it for the sake of the general good. Victims of damages are paid by assessing for them the superior fields, lenders with fields of medium quality, and a woman's ketubah with fields of the poorest quality. Reb Meir says also a woman's ketubah is paid with fields of medium quality. Payment may not be taken from assigned property if there is an unsigned property available, even if they are of the poorest quality. Payment from the property of orphans may be taken only from fields of the poorest quality. And payment
That's it. We're done 3 now. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Have a great day. I will try to get that to you by the end of the day today.
Thank you.
It'll
No
be
worries.
2 halves, I think. So
Okay.
be well. Have a good day.
Also.